The fact of the matter is we have 20 veterans a day killing themselves to suicide. Yep. We have an epidemic in this country where people are dying from the wounds that they came back. And let me put this into perspective for you. So since 9/11, we've had 139,000 veterans murder themselves. Right now in the armed forces, we have a little over 300,000. So think about that. In 20 years, the current armed forces that are in right now, 1/3 of that rank may die in 20 years at the rate that we're going.
Because of their own choice.
Because of their own choice, because of the abuse that they suffer. Now, I see you have the Hero's Promise up. If you could pull that up. The Hero's Promise is a military veteran bill of rights that I have authored. And what it does is it has very basic protections for active duty and protections for veterans. You have meal and sleep time protection. You have the right to file a grievance outside of your chain of command. The ability and the right to mental health. For example, I was a reactor operator. It takes me 3.5 years to qualify a reactor operator before I can stand it alone. If I got depressed and took an antidepressant, I lose my job. My career is over. The Navy reassigns me. Right. So you can't even see a therapist without reprisal. We also need to give an end-of-service pension to people, like if they up to 6 years. So if you do 4 years, you get 4 years of base pay, right? And then the veteran stuff is very simple. Education for all, healthcare for all, and making sure that we have housing for all and citizenship for all. Right. We have deported veterans.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Right. And for you to get the Hero's Promise, and this is the best part about it, you have to take one therapy session a month when you're out. So you would go and see a professional to talk about what happened in the military. Because in the military, you're rewarded for being strong and you're punished for being weak. And that becomes a survival mechanism. So a lot of these veterans hide their scars inside because they don't want to be perceived as a weak person that is going to kill themselves until it's too late.
Right.
And that's adding to the epidemic. And that's why we're doing the Hero's Promise. And that's why people across the country, other candidates, even in Massachusetts 7th, Brianna Wu, she's actually going around showing the Hero's Promise to her constituents that are veterans, and she's winning them over. So this is the most comprehensive bill that has ever passed since probably the original GI Bill in the first place. So we're leading, and this is the stuff that we're going to have to do to take on suicide head on. This is what we have to do, and that's what we're going to be fighting for.
And and apart from what these veterans suffer, I mean, it's also the trauma that you live with, knowing that you inflicted harm on another human being, and now to find out, like veterans that served in Iraq, to find out that it was based on a lie.
Yes,
it does something to your psyche, and all of the immigration issues too that we're dealing with. We're dealing people coming in from Honduras, El Salvador, and then we realize that a lot of these people are escaping things that we cause either directly or indirectly by going in there and acting again like destabilizing nations and acting the police of the world. So there's this idea that if we offered all of our people Medicare for all, education for all, a lot of these people, a lot of these young kids like you won't go into the military because they would have kind of an opportunity, right? Absolutely. And so the military industrial complex, however, doesn't want that. They need people to fight in their wars.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because right now I know people, and I'm sure every veteran will tell you the same, that they're still in the military right now, hating their lives, hating every minute that they're standing post and just being a part of the military industrial complex. But they don't get out because they need the benefits for their kids and their family. So they go and stick out 20 years of misery, pure hell. And they're doing it for their families because there is no safe way out.
Right.
And that's why the Hero's Promise exists. We're unboarding the exit door, so people can actually walk out. And what that does for the military in America is, if we get all the soldiers and sailors that don't want to be out of the military, you're automatically going to bring up morale for the military and actually turn it back into a volunteer force the way it's supposed to be intended. Right. So, and we have a lot of leadership that's extremely toxic in the military because they're bitter. They're bitter that they had to stay in, and they take that out on their subordinates. And then that subordinate then takes it out on their next subordinate when they become in charge. And it's just a this cyclical cycle of abuse and pain and suffering that's ultimately ending men and women's lives. And if we really want to address and actually draw down the military, this is the step that we need to be taking.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I haven't seen anything as great as that, to be honest. And